Hello. Um, it's been a while since I've actually uploaded to this channel, and I'm back, and it's not for a good reason. Um, it's mainly specifically for people in my course. Um, so a couple years back in first year, currently final year, I did a video on Lagrange multiplier. I did a few other ones like on returns to scale and more mathematical based ones, and I did one on solver as well. I'm gonna be explaining, not even teaching. I'm just gonna be explaining, uh, what I did that worked. In order to scrape data from Amazon products using asins and sort of the pages to basically scrape. Basically, there's two parts to it. There's half. One part is scraping using VBA. Um, and then the second part is using Power Query and the asins together to get a basically another list. Um, but yeah, I'll explain it in the two parts. It's actually the VBA bit is the second part, and the first part is the second bit that I explained. But yeah, it is currently like 1 a.m. So do bear in mind. Hopefully anyone watching this gets somewhere. So we'll just get started now. I've used headphones for the example, just for purposes of collusion, whatever, whatnot. I don't want it to be like, okay, I don't know, the lecturer finds the video, and it's like I've just showed everyone how to do it with the exact products. So I've used headphones, which is one of the examples from our class here. So you just go onto Amazon, and then you go on headphones, and then usually we would go on the page. However, what we want to do specifically, I think, for this project, in order to get as much information as we can, is go to a specific product. So I just clicked on the first one that came up, and what you have is this link. Basically, long story short, this DP whatever after this bit, this unique key, which is highlighted here. This is the unique code of the product, which is known as the ASIN. I've forgotten what it means, but it's like Amazon something something. Basically, it's just a key. It's a unique key. So, for example, in like a product catalog at Argos, you would have a unique key for every item. So then you can identify it out of all the other ones. So like if this was red, it would have a slightly different one, and etc. So long story short, this is the important bit. And in order to actually web scrape some of the data here, so this could be like brand color, ear placement, for example. We basically all of this here, which is basically like the name of the product, we can just delete. The key part that we want here is just the https amazon.co.uk to obviously tell the software where to go to actually scrape, and then DP, again, I think it means data product, not sure, and this ASIN key. That's all you need. The rest of this is just jargon. It's just HTML jargon we don't need. We just copy and paste this, or just copy it for now, and we can open up Excel. Should have probably done that before. Anyways, okay, we have a new book. Of course, if you're in my class, you'll know to click data, and you have to be on a Windows machine in order to do this. Otherwise, you have to use PassHub on a Mac, which I don't know how to use. You can either click from web or go to get data from other sources and from web. It's the same thing. And it should come up with this nice little interface. So the URL is just the thing that we copied before, just paste it in. Again, do not worry if you only see a few rows and columns. It's normal because we will basically use this connection to it's sort of like a middleman, because we can use it to scrape multiple ASIN product keys from this by manipulating the HTML script, so that we can basically get the ASIN list later on, and extract it all in one go. But I'll just show you and it'll make more sense. So it gives you several different ones. For the ASIN specific like extractions from Power Query. The suggested tables are usually pretty useless. So for example here, this looks useful, but you got to remember we were on a specific product, which means that you have this main page here, and then underneath you usually have like, you know, recommended and stuff that's similar. So that's what it's giving around here. 17.99, it's this one. So that's how we know it's like not the product we want, and it's something else. And we can see here it's 59.99. So something like this would be disregarded, and is useless in our case. We want something that specifically shows our characteristics. Now this is different if you're looking at a page. But here we're looking at a specific product, which is why we're looking for brand like color, ear placement, form factor, etc. For the project products, I think there are less. So just bear that in mind. But here it's quite good. Honestly, here we could just stop here and it'd be very useful. But just for practice and summative purposes, I will carry on and show the VBA side as well. So once you've selected, you know, your most preferred one, I think in this case, the table one's the most optimal one. So you just click transform data. Don't click load because otherwise it'll bring you into Excel. Click transform data. And then you get this here. So you've got to think about it in a way where you want to picture the entire table in the present. So in this case, if we have brand here and then the details, this is only for one thing. So what we want are all of the asins, unique asins, which you'll see in a minute, to be down in one column and all down one row. And then on the columns, or like horizontal, if you must, will be all of the product details and characteristics. So this is useful, but it's not in a great format. So click transform in the ribbon and click transpose, and it'll just flip it around. And then here, just make the columns the name or the characteristic from the top, because it makes it so it doesn't duplicate every single time you create or scrape an asin. So I'll do this really quickly. Okay, so I've done this really quickly. Another thing you can do here just to make life a little bit easier is, I don't know, if you don't want ear placement, actually it could be quite useful for headphones, but it's all headphones actually, so no, we'll get rid of that. Form factor can get rid of. Noise control is quite useful. Headphone jack, yeah, it's quite useful. Model name, sure. We'll move this up front actually. Connectivity technology, yeah. These are quite similar, so okay, it doesn't matter. It's just for practice purposes, so we'll just get rid of that for now. And then what you can do from here is, because you've got sort of the columns, and then you've got your column name on the first row, you can delete this. So if you go home, click remove top rows, click number of rows 1, because you only want to remove the first row. And now you have this. So this is perfect. You only want one here, because you've only scraped from one product, hence this link here. So we scraped this earlier, we just scraped this, which sends us to this product, and I can show you right now as well. Sends you back to the same product, as you can see. So now we've got this, we then need to basically create that so-called like middleman function, which basically creates this into a function so we can scrape a crap ton of asins that we will get in a minute. So what you do is come to this table here on queries. You can name this anything, by the way. It could be hi. We'll just put test for now. Okay, so you click advanced editor. You get this HTML stuff. Don't need to know any of this. You only need the first 2 lines. The rest is jargon to us. So what we have here is a variable name. So this could be anything. Just for explanation purposes, I'll make it easier. I'll put asins or asin as text. It's usually text. I don't really know any scenario where it isn't. So even with page, you put page number as text. Again, it could be named anything. It could be page. This doesn't have to be asins. It could be test. It could be anything wrong, right? And then you have equals, and then a greater than inequality arrow to let. And then through the source, all we need to do is delete the unique asin key that I was talking about, because this links directly to a certain product and it's only assigned to that product. But if we want to scrape a ton, we just get rid of this. So just delete that. And then outside the quotation marks, put an and, I call it an and symbol, and then put your variable name. So the reason why it's as in here is because we put as in there, and then click done. And don't freak out. Yes, this is what it's supposed to do. So just for example purposes, an as in here, if we go back onto a new product, for example, this one here, we can find the as in. So you go all the way past DP, straight after DP, get the as in key. And what that would do is basically give the characteristics of this specific product here. So we can see it's black, sound isolation, 3.5mm headphone jack, which is here. And also we can see like over ear, sound isolation, just the stuff we saw from the previous product for, but for this specific product. So this is basically what we want, but we don't want to do it one by one because that's not very efficient. So now you've got this and you found, the ones that you've got, but a key thing you might be wondering is, oh, I don't have the product name and the price. So you don't have $18.99 and this long name here, and maybe you want some additional product details, like for example, maybe the product dimensions, for example, or batteries. So basically this is what part 2 is, which is the VBA part. So what you're going to want to do is go on to Blackboard and use the seminar VBA. I've added a few things onto it. I just used ChatGPT to basically create the query. So I'll leave this somewhere, probably in the description, a link to my GitHub or something, so you can have a look at it. Basically, I will briefly explain this. I know this video is very long, but basically these are like setting up what you want to scrape. Setting the headers is basically where you're gonna want to print out these things into your Excel spreadsheet, and then you have your actual loop. So your loop is to scrape through X number of pages. So for I is the number of pages that you want to scrape through. So this could be 1 to 10, 1 to 20, but bear in mind the larger this number is here. So if you must, this would basically be little n to capital M in a summation. So for capital M, if it's larger, it's going to take longer time, and there may be breach security issues because of Amazon's data privacy. So just for this tutorial, I'm going to do 1 to 3 just so it's quick. Actually, I'll do 1 to 2 just to make it even quicker. Here, Amazon URL, as it says in the foot notation here, which is very useful. You add your link here. I'll show you how to specifically add the link. It can get a little bit confusing, but it's honestly not too bad. The rest of this jargon, honestly, is there for you. You don't need to know it. It's all right. Here's a little bit more important. This is where the actual extraction happens. Again, this is HTML. Sorry, this is HTML strings, sort of like how it's identified, and then there's also a sort of a sleep or rest between every single scrape just to avoid getting blocked, as it says here. And then there's a message. This can be changed to anything, just for this purpose. I'll put this shows that this can be anything. Okay, there you go, for example. Basically, once you've got this, copy this. The baseline of this is on Blackboard. If you want to add, for example, I've added the current price in pounds and pence. I just use ChatGPT to do that. It should be relatively straightforward. With a little bit of trial and error, it should work. So once you've got that, you can click out of your Power Query. You have to leave it, press keep. It's not going to change anything on our actual Excel worksheet. And press Alt F11. So sometimes you have to press Alt function F11, and it should work at some point if it wants to ever work. There we go, Alt F11. And basically what you want to do here is, I would recommend, if you're doing multiple scrapes because of the breach privacy issue. So basically I will show you here. Basically, you would want to do multiple scrapes. So you would do 1 to 5, then 6 to 10, then 11 to 15, just so you can get more variables or more products, sorry. You would want to do it multiple times. Again, for demonstration purposes, I won't do this, but what you want to do is basically don't do this workbook because it means that it will basically run the entire VBA script on every single sheet that you have. What you want to do is, if you have sheet 1 and sheet 2, so your first scrape and your second scrape, is have it so this is sheet 1, right? You can see on the top left corner. You go to sheet 2, it's plain. So what you can do here is change I to 3 to 4, for example. Obviously, I'm doing smaller cases just for example, but basically what I'm trying to say is put your VBA script that you're going to copy and paste into the sheets as opposed to workbooks, because the workbooks is for the whole thing and it'll ruin your project. So do it in sheet 1 and sheet 2 respectively. So I will close sheet 2 or delete it because we don't need that. So we have just sheet 1, which is I equals 1 to 2. So now we have this. All we basically need to do is copy and paste the link here, where I put add your link here. What you're going to want to do is when you search up headphones, you're going to be shown this page. The link here isn't very useful. It's quite hard and ambiguous. What you're going to want to do is scroll all the way down, go to the next page. It could be 3rd, 4th, 5th. Just any page other than the first one. And then ignore the rest of this jargon. It's crap. We don't need it. All you need is the HTTPS, your product name and page equals whatever. So we're going to want to get rid of the equals to. We just want this. So that's the equivalent of this here. And then the and I basically replaces, so instead of 2 here, it's I in the VBA. So I is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you put your range here, which is why it's and I. Once you've done this, all you have to do is press F5 or press this play run button here, and it should do the magic for you. Yeah, we basically just wait until we get that pop-up message of me saying this shows that this is a test. And yeah, there it is. This shows that this can be anything. That is the exact custom message that I wrote. You can change to anything. You can leave it blank if you want, but then you might not know if anything's there. So it should work like this. Okay, so I paused the video because I realized that using headphones didn't work. And this is a clear example. Like, it's 1:05 a.m. in GMT time. So I highly doubt anyone specifically in my cohort, unless they're, proper sweaty or, a night owl, would be doing this. So what I'm trying to say is that the activity isn't high on this web scraping because obviously it can cause server issues, server crashes. There may be breach security because it might be like, oh, there are a ton of bots or just a ton of users trying to basically breach the data security, so it'd freak out. So what I'm trying to say is that probably shouldn't or wouldn't happen at this time of night. And what I'm trying to show is with worksheet 3, I used a different product. We can see here, this is for headphones. It didn't work. I tried everything. I tried change link. I tried create a new sheet. I tried, having a look at the VBA script. Nothing. I use the exact same VBA script. It at least works for the other product that I tried, right? So what I'm trying to say is that if you struggle with a product at a specific time, it sounds ridiculous, at a specific time of day, on a specific device, on a specific Wi-Fi router, so your internet connection, don't be too alarmed. It is probably one of those 3 factors that is stopping you from scraping properly, because this is what happened to me with headphones. So what I'm basically going to do for the rest of this tutorial, because I want to film it in one go, is I'm going to try and find another product where it all works. So I'll do all the previous steps off camera, and then I will scrape basically using the Visual Basic application script that I showed you guys earlier, and then hopefully it'll have the asins and some product titles. So I will be back in a minute again. Alright, so I just wanted to basically do a brief explanation before this complete scraping. So I went through a ton of different products, and I see why the reason why our summative was provided with specific products is for this reason. I think on the more popular products, so I tried TVs, I tried kettles, I tried iPads, like tablets, I tried a lot of different sort of electronics, and none of them gave anything. It was blank. This one is very similar to the product that is given for the summative. So it's here. And it hasn't given the product title, but it'll do for now. You get the gist. Let's just assume the product titles are here. And for example, if there are blanks, you can just remove them. So for example, if we ignore product title and we see, for the current price, it's blank, you can just remove these asins. We can do this now, or you can do this after you've sort of scraped everything. So I will basically show you guys how to do this once I've done the first step again. Okay, so I've just done basically what I showed you earlier in the first step. Got back to the parameter part. And what we can do from here is, if you've got this open here, you can go to new source, file, Excel workbook, and essentially open up the file, and then it'll give you a selection of tables. You just click on that. I haven't actually saved this yet, this workbook, so I can't do that. So what I can do is, you can do this as well. Is basically go here. If you already have a table, let's say for example already have this table here, it won't let you basically put it into Power Query. So if you already have a table like this, just go back to table design, yes, table design, and click convert to range, and it'll bring back the original form. If it still looks like this and you get annoyed, just click clear here in home, and then clear formats. But basically what you want to do here is just import all of your scrapes of asins back into Power Query, so then we can then get the rest of the product characteristics. So highlight the table, or just highlight the top columns, click data, and then click from table range, and click well, if it's not your table range, then change it. My table has headers. Yes, okay. And then it'll bring you back to Power Query. And now you have this. This is literally the same, or actually is identical to what you have in Excel. I can't get it open, but it's the same. Just trust me. It's the same as what you had before. Yep, over here is the same thing. You can pause and see if you really want. And here we have price. So before we do anything, just for easy access, we can actually merge these columns. So this is pounds and pence. It's part of the script that I've put in the GitHub, or link in the description, whatever it is. It'll be down there. So yeah. So you have pound and pence. So you just, to put it in the right order, click what you want first. So in this case, it's pound, and then shift, left click, pence, right click, merge columns. And then here you want to have a separator. Usually it's a decimal place. You can make a comma, whatever you want. I'm just going to call this price with a pound sign, just so people know it's pounds. And now we have one less column here. So in class, we've been shown how to use the invoke function, where there's only been the asins, or for example, something like a blank query, and then we have so this would be for getting the page numbers, for example. You create list and to table, whatever. We're not doing that in this case, because we don't need to, because we already have our so-called, well, this is the equivalent of the page numbers. You have your asin values, which will be scraped using this function here. So what we want to do is go to your table where your asin and prices are. You can add more depending on what you want. Again, like I said earlier, you can use ChatGPT to add on some more variables, which you don't have from this function here. That's the reason why we want to add more here, is because with some of the tables from this function, you can't get everything. So we want to add it on as opposed to just leaving it out. So what you can do is go to add column, press invoke custom function, the column name, just honestly leave it, doesn't matter. It's not gonna exist anyway because you're gonna expand out the function. So all you have to do is go to function query. It's table one here, but whatever your function is, you can call it function, you can call it test. Just to show you guys, let's make it test. We go back to invoke function, it'll be test. There you go. And the important part is this basically is column name or text or whatever you want to call it. This is the bit that we want to scrape. We don't want to scrape the prices because this won't give us anything. We want to scrape this column. So it's very important that you don't have price, you have ASIN. Otherwise the function won't work. And once you click OK, you just have to wait. If you have a lot of pages, this will take quite a while. I don't think we have that many in this case. I think we have about maybe 50, 60. So it should be okay for the time being. Again, I will skip to when it's loaded or speed it up, so then you guys don't have to suffer like I am right now at 1:30 a.m. All right, I'm back. So I just ended up deleting a few tables, rows I meant, sorry, because it was taking way too long. And it's 1:31, so basically it'll be the same. You just have to wait a while, sorry. There's a good indication to see whether you need to do anything before you actually basically expand this column, because this column will disappear. What you're going to want to do is have a look down down your rows on this column, and if you see an error, as you can see here, if you click onto it, it'll say there's an error because basically Power Query wasn't able to scrape the data for this specific ASIN. Whereas something like this, for example, it was able to. So it has a table, has your brand, your material, bottle type, color, and capacity, which is very useful. So in order to basically prevent this from stopping you scrape everything else, what you're going to do is click here, right click, and click remove errors. So once you've done this, it'll take a couple moments once again. Again, depends, the duration depends on how large your data set is. This one's fairly small. It's about 50, I think. So it should be fairly quick. Yep, it's nice and complete. So once you've done this, you have no errors. There's no like red dotted line here. That's typically the indication or the signal where you probably have errors. Regardless, you can just click this, and if you have any errors, Power Query will remove those errors for you. Once you've done this, click this like left right arrow here. You'll have all of the things that you basically extracted from the function, and remove use column original column name as prefix because we don't want this test column here. If you leave it on, you just delete it later, but just untick it just to make your life a little bit easier. Click OK. Again, this will take a couple more seconds or minutes depending on how many rows you have. And basically, it will show you all of the characteristics on one table. That was perfect timing. So now you have your ASINs, your price, your brand, your material, your bottle type, your color, and capacity. So again, here, this is purely raw data. There's a lot of stuff you can do within Power Query. You don't have to do in Excel. So for example, here with ASINs, you can do this in Excel, but I think it's a little bit nicer in Power Query. Again, click on ASINs, right click, remove duplicates. So this would be cleaning the data, or be considered cleaning the data. If you want to leave raw data, just import this or export it, sorry, into Excel, and you'll have that there, and then you can duplicate it and then open up the table. Actually, I'll just show you that now. So suppose I didn't do that. Yeah, I'm not gonna remove the duplicates because it'll make it smaller and then be quicker. So you click home and you click close and load, and essentially it will create a new sheet for you, and you can see it will be loading the data. Once you've loaded the data, what you can do is come here and basically copy the sheet, click copy to this book, because you want this book, and then just click create a copy and it'll duplicate it for you. So I'm not going to do that now because it's a waste of time, and it'll be the same thing in Excel. So once you've done that, you just click on that table and it can bring you back here if you want to do it in Power Query. So we've removed the duplicates. You can also, remove duplicates here or missing values. You could do that in Excel as well. You could do the same with like brand, and then I would usually import it back into Excel. And for example, with the colors, you can just manually clean it. It is a bit of a pain. However, if you want clean data, there's not really much of a automated way of doing so other than go through them. A good tip is to use the filter function. So clicking all the ones that are black and gray, or yeah, clicking all of them and then using Control H to find and replace all of these with, for example, black. So you'd put find black gray and replace that with just black with a capital B. That is one of the tips I can give for clean the data. But regardless of that, nevertheless, we have basically scraped all of the data that we need, and that's all you really need to do for the data scraping. So just to give an overall summary, I don't know if this video is going to be clear because I'm literally going to edit it and upload it hopefully by 2:30. Basically, step one is go to your Google Chrome, type in a product. I've already given the product, I don't care anymore at this point. You find your result. What you want to do firstly is click on a product. Doesn't have to be the first one, can be the third one, can be the fourth, whatever one looks nice to you, right? Go to the link. Anything after this ASIN key, and you know it's ASIN because it's straight after DP, you just neglect all of this. Ignore it like it doesn't exist, right? And the name, just delete this, delete the slash. You're left with DP ASIN code. You copy and paste this into Excel, and what happens is you go to data from web, copy and paste this link into the URL, and then you'll be given a select few of tables. Choose the most appropriate one, clean that table in a sense, and then do the ASIN or variable name as text, and then equals more than equal to text. So it would be like the var name as text in brackets, and then it's a let. It's that bit in the advanced editor. And then once you've done that, change like there's like the link bit. Let's just say that's the link, and you got like yada yada yada, and then you get rid of the unique ASIN, and then you replace it with and the variable name you gave it. In our case, we used ASIN, and then that's all you have to do for that. And then it'll give you a function parameter, which should look something like this. If you get this, you're in the right tracks. And in order to get the ASINs, and for example, in this case, we got price, you can get other things like ratings, reviews, whatever. Just use ChatGPT to add that query into the VBA scrape. And the base that I used will be on my GitHub or link in the description. I'll see whenever I upload this. And then basically you run that script, and then you get this. So you get the table of your ASINs, and then, well, we had product name or product title, but it didn't come with anything, which is why we deleted it. You should probably keep it, and if you don't, then maybe decide to do a different product. That might help. And we have our current price, pound and pence, and we merge these together in Power Query. But what you do is basically highlight this table and then click data, and then click from table range. This will open in Power Query, and what you will have is basically everything other than this. So just the first two columns, you'll have the first two columns. These are from your function, which we use the invoke custom function to get. So to get there, you do add column, invoke custom function. This doesn't matter. Function query will be your function name. So test relates to test. Here, the important thing is we have a lot of stuff here because we've imported it from the function, but just keep it as ASIN. Keep things simple. Just name your ASIN column ASIN so you'll know. Just make sure this is ASIN and click OK. And then after that, you could just go back through. It's quite straightforward just to expand this out. and remove the errors before you expand it out, otherwise it won't work. So hopefully it was useful, insightful, not more confusing. And don't get stressed out if it doesn't work. It is genuinely because of the three factors that I mentioned earlier. It's probably because your Wi-Fi, your device, and time of day that you're scraping at. These factors do make a difference to what you can scrape and what you can't scrape. And every time you reload the extraction from web, like the data from web, the table can change. So if you don't like that table, it's not 100%, it will change, but maybe do try a few more times again, and maybe Excel Power Query will give you a different table to look at. So do a little bit of trial and error when trying to find your tables. But yeah, good luck, and I'm going to sleep.